So we're joined from Birmingham, Alabama by my friend Cynthia Blackmon. We're so glad to have you with us again, the founder of FinLit Financial Literacy. This is our personal finance class. This is the third time you've joined us, and it's always such a joy. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for going over some of these very important financial principles with us today.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. Are you able to see my screen?
We see it.
Awesome. All right. As Mr. Piggott stated, I'm Cynthia
I
Blackmon.
get.
Piggott stated, I do apologize. I'm Cynthia Blackmon, founder of FinLit LLC, which is a financial literacy business. Started as a hobby, sharing the knowledge of financial literacy as I, had do my education and experience in jobs, and just wanted to, share what I know with everyone for free. But then it turned into a business, as the years went on. I do have a 9 to 5. I work for the federal government in accounting and finance. So we're going to talk about two different things, how you can have a 9 to 5 in your own business and you can be able to make that choice. I won't tell you which one to do. Okay. So to get started, I do want to test your knowledge. I have 3 questions here about wants and needs, savings, and budgeting. So the first question is, which of the following is a need? Is it a new video game? Is it lunch? Is it concert tickets? Or are there designer shoes? What do you all think?
Everybody says lunch.
Awesome, great. You're doing great already. Okay. What is a good reason to save money? Is it to spend it all, to prepare for emergencies, to buy candy, or to avoid budgeting?
Everybody says emergencies.
Awesome. I like this class. Last question. What does a budget help you do? Is there spend more, track income and expenses, avoid saving, or ignore bills?
Track income and expenses. They all got it.
Awesome. There's no need to do this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But great. You all doing a great job. So I'll get in. This was just to see, where you all are about financial literacy with a couple, questions that we all go through in our everyday lives. Let me go here. And let me know if you're not seeing what I'm speaking of.
No, we got it.
Okay. So the title of this presentation today is Personal Finance for High School Students, Essential Money Skills for Young Adults. You all are what, 10th through 12th graders. You're about to make, some of the most important decisions of your lives, okay? That's going to affect you from 20, 30, 40 years from now. Do we expect you to have it all together? Of course not. But learning key things like this will help you make the best decisions as you go on in life and grow up to be real adults. Start paying real bills and all that. So, basis of personal finance. Personal finance involves managing your money through earning, spending, saving, and investing wisely. You can't know the basis of personal finance if you don't know, one, how much am I earning? What's coming in? Two, how much am I spending? What's going out? What am I spending money on? Saving, as this money is coming in and me spending, how much am I able to save? Investing, as I've got my savings out the way, I still have money left, more than enough to, have fun with friends, eat lunch. I still have a couple dollars left. Let me think about investing in something. Investing doesn't necessarily mean go straight to a stock market. You can invest in other things, and we'll talk about that as we go on. Important things for you all to know is that learning financial skills early will help you build a foundation for your future to become independent and to be successful. Of course, at the age now, most of you depend on your parents. There's no ill will with that. Your kids, you depend on your parents. Your parents gonna do most for you financially. Okay. Also, but at this age, 10th and 12th graders, a lot of you are getting jobs. Okay. You're maybe getting out of school early. You're 12th graders, you go work a job, or summertime, you work a job, weekends, you work a job. And you can start then learning key, financial literacy skills. Key topics that'll be covered today: budgeting, saving, investing, and credit. That'll be, yeah, about a 500 credit score, about an 800 credit score, but you need to know what's the importance of it. Okay. And also as this presentation concludes, I want you to leave here with empowered financial confidence. Okay. The goal is to equip you all with tools to navigate you through making financial decisions responsibly and confidently. Why does personal finance matters? It's going to help you not overspend. Of course, there's things out there that we all like. Okay, we have to make that decision. Yeah, I want it, but do I need it? Can I afford it? Those type of decisions. Yeah, those are the type of decisions you're gonna make. It just because you can buy it at that moment doesn't mean you can truly afford it. So those are the type of decisions you're gonna go through life making. Okay, so why not start it with concert tickets? Okay, why not start it with brunch with friends? As you're using those small things to make decisions, you'll be prepared to make big life decisions as times go on. Debt is very important. As you're applying for schools, as a, learn about credit cards and all that. There's good debt and then there's bad debt. We have to know how to differ from the two. Okay. Will you be judged on taking student loans for school for your academics? Of course not. That's a good debt. Okay. But running up credit cards just to go have fun and all that, that's a bad debt. Okay. And also, as we go through this, it's going to give you long-term stability, master your financial skills. So you'll know when you come to an issue like this, oh, I heard Mrs. Blackmon talking about this. This is how I'm going to break this down and making the decision if I really need this or I just want it. I might really try to keep up with my friends, trying to keep up with strangers. Those are the type of key things you're going to be going through. All right, so budget, purpose of budgeting. I know you all hear that word all the time. What is budgeting? Okay. Budgeting is going to help you spend your money wisely. Okay. But we can't do that until we know how much is coming in and how much is going out. All right. Say you have a part-time job, you're making 150, but you also have a phone bill that, your parents will say, I want you to start being responsible. I want you to be responsible for your phone bill. So based on that 150 you're bringing in a week and that phone bill you're paying, monthly, that's your income versus your expenses. Whatever is left over, it's not obligated to a bill. So you can make that decision there to say, I'm going to save this. Okay. Of course, for entertainment and all this, I'll set some money aside. But we don't want you to go straight into, I'm going to save all of this. Because what that does, it makes you keep dipping into your savings. So what you want to do is set a reasonable amount, don't go too high, set a reasonable low amount to start saving. So you won't be motivated each time to go dip into it, but you'll be consistent in putting that same amount into your savings. Always leave some to enjoy life. Okay. We only get one. So always leave some to enjoy life. Some key budgeting steps: list all of your income. At this age, you all won't have too many. Okay. But you'll have it as life goes on because, as you see, when you see real bills, you'll get to see one job won't be enough. Okay. Multiple stream incomes, may be needed. Identify your expenses. Is this a fixed expense, such as your phone bill? That's a fixed expense. That's going to come every month. But as you're driving to work, you get a tire blowout. That's a variable expense because you're not expecting your tire to blow out every month, but it blew out at that time. And now you have to fix that. So what are you going to use? You're going to use those consistent savings that you've been putting in. So you'll be prepared for those emergencies. As teenagers, budgeting is going to teach you discipline. Okay. Of course, I said prevent overspending and ensure your money is available for those important needs, such as a tire blowout. One thing that you don't want to run into if you can help it is financial stress. Okay. We know stress kills, but when it comes to financial stress, you're broke and money is the root of your problems. It's the worst. Okay. So you can like set yourself up and prepare and do things like that. That's a good start. Saving money. We basically, touch on the basis of saving money. When I say investing, there are some savings accounts out there that will give you interest. Okay, it's called compounding. So you're putting $10 in your savings account each week, each month. Okay, the bank is giving you 1 to 2% interest. You're starting small. We don't want you to go put your $10 on the stock market. Your interest is growing and compounding, not only on that $10, but also the interest that you received the month prior by the bank. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep growing. Is 1 to 2% a lot? No, but it adds up. Okay, it adds up. So those are some things that you can do when it comes to extra money and saving it. Smart spending. This is when we distinguish our needs and our wants. Okay. This is when we budget, track our expenses, avoid impulsive spending. We've all been there. I'm 35 and I'm still there. Okay. Go in Target. I'm supposed to go in there for one thing. I come out with 5. You just have to make those decisions. Can I really afford this? Yeah, I want it, but can I really afford this? It's something that's worth, $100 or $200 comes up tomorrow. Will I regret making this purchase today? So those are the type of conversations you have to have with yourself. Understand the opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is basically what I said. If I buy this today, will I regret this tomorrow if an emergency comes up? You're weighing the advantage and disadvantages of making that purchase. Understanding credit. So we talk about money coming in. We talk about money going out. We talk about saving. We talk about investing. But credit is important as well, where you don't have to actually use your cash at that time. As you're making these, you're becoming more disciplined, making these financial decisions. You have your phone bill. You've been paying it on time. Okay. You may have the cash at that moment, but you don't want to use it. I don't want to go in my savings for this. So as I've been making these key decisions, I've been building credit. This, AT&T and a lot of phone bills, they don't report to your credit bureau unless you're late. But we're going to use this as an example. You have this installment account, okay? And you're constantly making your payments on time. Once you can go apply for credit, you can say, I need furniture for my new college apartment. Okay. You go to this furniture company, they may have a couch for $1,200. You was like, I don't really have $1,200 right now. But you've been disciplined throughout your years, and the company say, oh, we have zero financing if you want to apply for credit. You've been making these key decisions, and now you're approved for credit where I don't have to spend all of my $1,200 that's in savings. I can apply for this, get it on a credit, and make monthly payments towards it. And the great thing about that is zero financing. So they're not charging me interest on the first 2 years, on the first 3 years. So credit is awesome. And we can keep it positive, make great financial decisions. Once you get bad credit, it's a pickle to climb out of. Okay. It's doable, but why get yourself there if you don't have to? Okay. And also when it comes to credit, I know a lot of you, they have this buy now, pay later. Be real cautious, be Be real cautious of that, okay? You probably can't afford it, but now you see this buy now, pay later option, and your brain is like, oh, I can afford this. Okay. But as you're going on, it's like, I really couldn't afford this. Yeah, I could afford the first payment at the time. But as these things add up, I had no business buying anything for $200, although they were giving me the option to pay $40 at that time. So be real cautious about that because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if a bill is on the floor or they're about to pass one where they are going to start reporting those to your credit bureaus as installment accounts. And you don't want to have too many of those open because it lower your credit score. Okay, you want to always look at a look as a great candidate for borrowing and credit options when that time arises. Okay, we all want the American dream, a house, a car. That's a need right now, but you want to be able to go get things like that by making great financial decisions now. And investing right now, as I stated, you all wouldn't have a lot to invest right now, okay? But you need to know that their option is out there. I know you all are familiar with Robinhood. They're giving the teenagers and the kids opportunities to buy a piece of a stock, okay? You put $5 over there, you're doing all that. I will say it's enticing, kind of give you all an option to learn about stocks and all that. You are gonna go that route. Do take the time to educate yourself, read on it. Robinhood, I think after a lot of lawsuits, they were forced to give education materials in the app. So do read up on those. There are a lot of stock simulations out there where you don't have to really invest your real money, but you can kind of play around with it. Like if I make this decision here, would that have been a great decision 4 or 5 years from now? So the key to investing is educate yourself, okay? Because I tell people all the time, stay away from individual stocks. If you're gonna invest in stocks or any companies, bonds, or treasury, you want it to be diverse. You want to put all your money into this might not be the best example right now. You want to put all your money into Tesla, but we know Tesla is hot and trendy. You will break it up into, Tesla electric vehicles plus Microsoft software. You want to kind of be in different sectors instead of just investing in one sector. Because something happens there, that all your money is gone. But something happened in the Tesla sector, then you have Apple to fall back on. So do educate yourself when it comes to investing in those type of decisions. But investing can really set you up, in retirement, sometimes before retirement, because that compound interest is still compounding as you're keep putting money in there, weekly, monthly, annually. It can really set you up for greatness.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that real quick
Okay.
because I think teenagers don't understand how retirement works because I just get frustrated when I see these memes about they need to lower the retirement age to this. And I'm always wanting to pull my hair out because I'm like, retirement is not an age, it's the amount of money.
Mhm.
And you can start saving for retirement from the moment you start working. And I'm not even a financial genius. I am far from an expert, but I can at least tell you, a lot of these companies are going to offer retirement matching, and they will match up to a certain amount. And if you don't put in at least the minimum that they're going to match, you are cheating yourself out of thousands of dollars.
Leaving money
I
on
think
table.
you're
Mhm.
absolutely outside of your mind, and then that's going to lead to having to work for a longer time. So, being able to just put a little bit and maybe a deferred income and what a company will match as far as retirement, just doing that can put you ahead of a lot of people.
Agreed. As Mr. Piper stated, you want to invest at least what the company will match. If it's 4%, is it 5%? You at least want to match that. Do not leave any money on the table. And that's where long-term benefits come in at on the last part of this. But it is great. So don't think you have to wait till you're 20. You have to wait till you're 30 to start investing. As soon as you get that part-time job or get that entry-level job, as they're going through onboarding, you ask those questions. What's available to me benefit wise, for retirement? So ask those questions. Onboarding isn't for you to just sit in there and wait until the job actually starts. Ask those questions to see how they can also help you. And we basically talked about needs and wants. And, we have this picture to the left that we're all familiar with, designer shoes, hats, and purses, and all type of stuff, watches and all that. Of course, they all look good, but we have to say, can we afford this? We work hard. We want to do nice things for ourselves, but we don't want to put ourselves in debt trying to do that. Okay. So you as teenagers, you can start setting reasonable goals now. Don't set anything crazy. Like, by the time I become a senior, I want a $400,000 house. Okay, that's not reasonable unless you've hit the lottery or something. Okay, you want to set reasonable goals. By the time I turn a senior, I want to have $500 or $1,000 set up. So just make sure your goals are smart. And what smart means is specific. What is the goal that you're trying to set? Measurable. Is it reasonable? Can I really reach this goal in the time frame in which I'm trying to get there? And achievable. What am I going to do to make sure I achieve this goal? Relevant. Am I just setting any type of goal, or is really relevant, to my life and to me? And make sure the time in which you're getting there is it makes sense. Okay, make sure it makes sense and you achieving that goal. Don't worry about what Harry has set for himself. Worry about what Sue is setting for herself. Okay, what is this to you? Don't worry about others, but worry about you, your lane, what you can do, and what works for you. Okay. Avoiding debt. As you all grow up, even in school now, you may have kids coming to class best dressed. Okay. It's always a story behind it. Not saying parents can't afford that, but sometimes you just never know what people go through to look all flashy, to have the best and to have the great. So just worry about you, as you making these good financial decisions, you'll get there. Okay. Don't down yourself. Don't be like, oh, this just has to be me. Let me do anything about all means necessary to get to that point. Don't do that. It's always a story behind the good and the bad. And you won't just worry about you at that moment. Okay. Um, right now you all probably gonna have counselors coming in, talking about student loans and all that. I know me getting ready for college, there's a lot of money out there student loan wise. Okay. Students, they take the max. Don't need the max, but they take the max. Then you get my age or older and you're still paying this money back. It wasn't used wisely. When I say compound interest, that's the bad compound interest. When you're making these payments, you're only paying on interest. You haven't even hit the bulk of what you actually borrowed. So even when it comes to student loans, you want to be smart about that. And I think this administration are putting things in place where they are limited how much you can borrow. So make sure you are knowledgeable. You want to go to trade school, you want to go to a 4-year college. What does that look like financially? Okay. Are your parents able to help you? Or I have to do this on my own. And if you have to do this on your own, you really want to sit down and say, what does this look like? Am I able to work? How much do I have to borrow? Are there scholarships out there that I'm eligible for? If I know what school I actually want to go to and they accepted me, let me get on the phone and ask them what's out there. Here's my background, here's what I can do. Are there like some student jobs, things you're offering for people like me, based on your experience, skills, and where you're from. There's a lot of money out there. You just have to know how to go out there, use the resources and get it. So those are the type of questions you're going to be having and things you have to work through to avoid the most debt as possible, because debt is not the great. Okay. As we stated, part-time jobs. So I give you my background. My 11th grade year, I started working at the grocery store. Okay. Of course, we're not gonna say, oh, we want to work at the grocery store forever, but it was a job. Okay. I was ready to work. I was 15 and a half, almost 16. I was like, let me learn some basic skills. It's things I want out here. I'm being told no. And if your parents anything like my auntie was, she was very cheap. Yes, she was gonna pay for my senior portraits, but they weren't the senior. They weren't what I wanted. She was gonna take me to Walmart. I think I was like, I want this private boutique over here. So what did I do? I went and got a job so I can pay for my own senior portraits. But worked out great. I stayed there maybe a year. So then, as 12th grade year, I was like, what do I really want to do with life? And finance and banking, all that was important to me. So I got my sister. She's like 8 years older than I am. And I was like, I think I want to go into banking. She was like, okay, do you know anybody in banking? And I was like, no, I don't. But I was very involved in the community, like 4-H, went to church, new pastors, page for Mississippi senator. So what I did was, I went to them, expressed my concerns, asked them for a letter of recommendation, like basically got a packet together. Found this bank, had never gone in a bank a day in my life. Put on a suit. I had this whole packet, 3-letter recommendations. Asked to speak to the president of the bank. They probably thought I had money. I had nothing. Asked to speak to the president of the bank. He talked to me. He was like, well, we've never hired students. I was like, okay, well, I want you to keep me in mind because, I am about to go to college very soon. It was like a Friday. So he called me Monday. He was like, I talked to the board, since you're, about to go to college, they're going to make an exception. But we need to get you to the Wynn Job Center so you can apply. So I was the first student worker at Planters Bank in Greenwood, Mississippi. Turned
Wow.
out great. They were awesome. A little embarrassing is that I did not know how to drive. But had I known how to drive at that moment, they would have gotten me a car. So I did miss out on it. So don't be like me. If you can go ahead and learn how to drive, have that opportunity there where they say, you know what, we'll get her a car. But I wasn't driving at the moment. But turned out great, built some great relationships, great network. Still talk to them to this day. That opened up many doors. After the bank, of course, I focused on school, but during the summers when college was over, I would go back to the bank and work. So I will just say, use your resources, think outside the box. What can I do, to set myself up? What are you interested in? Okay. If you want to be a dentist, if you want to be a welder, you may not know them, but set yourself up where let me just go talk to these people and have a conversation and see what may be out there. Because all opportunities aren't posted to the public. Okay. They're like, I know my friend have kids, or I know my pastor, my church. They're internally, and you just have to find that circle, find that tribe, so you can get in there and have those opportunities. But I will say that was one of the best decisions of my life. I thank my sister every day for putting it in my head, like just go do it. So that was awesome. So not saying you all have to put a suit on and go ask to speak to the president of the bank, but think about things like that, similar that you can do to set you up for greatness for something that you're passionate about. Okay. Um, we all love our cell phone. We all love apps. Use it to your benefit, as we stated. Budgeting is tracking your income and expenses. There are many apps out there, many free apps that you don't have to buy, where you can insert your income, insert your expenses. What I do say though, do research and make sure these are like credible apps from like credible companies, because you don't want to put your private info just in some, apps where people just trying to get your information. So do check to see who are putting these apps out. And there are reputable companies like, Chase Bank and a bank that you may have that will have these educational opportunities for free, where you don't have to, break the bank. There was a lot of
And
student
and, and
checking
just
accounts.
to add on that, Cash App is not a bank.
No, Cash App is not a bank.
Having a Cash App card is not having a bank account. I think there's I know it's easy to use and a lot of our kids like using it. I use it for certain things. It definitely has its place, but it's not my bank.
Yeah, if you read those emails or when you log into the app, it'll let you know that they're powered by a bank. So there's actual a bank that these financial apps have to be powered by in order for your money to be FDIC insured. So he's right. Cash App isn't a bank. It's just another way to send and receive money, and you're using Cash App as the middleman to do that. So that's all it is. So if you are interested in coming up with an app, like Cash App, and you have some competitive advantage, hey, go for it. You can be the next Cash App. Oh, and there are many student accounts at banks where they're free to you. Okay, they're teaching you how to build your credit. Teaching you how to save. So you don't have a bank account now, or you do have a bank account. Make sure you're getting the best out of it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. Key things. Budget apps. Helping you track and spending. Just do your research on what's the best ones. Automated savings. You may have a part-time job, but as you're going in there filling out your W-4, withholdings and all that, they're also asking you, a lot of them have that option. I know your money is coming to this main bank account, but you also have an option to send it to another account. And that's where it's called automated savings. You go ahead and put that money there, you don't ever have to touch it, and it just going automatically for you. As you download these apps and everything, set your alerts, make sure you did make this purchase. Okay. It helps with like theft and all that. And it's gonna just build your, financial confidence as you go on. It's like, you know what, I'm prepared for this. At first I wasn't, but now I think I can do this. Common financial pitfalls: overspending, ignore your budget. I do see that a lot. People set a budget, but they don't go back. I was like, why did you set the budget? As you build in credit, don't misuse it. Okay, just make great decisions. As high school students, as adults, you're always gonna have impulsive buying, peer pressure, and all of that. Just know how to use the spirit of discernment when it comes to things like that. Strategies for financial health: set goals, track your expenses, seek advice, stay informed. I can give Mr. Pygott my contact information. You all can reach out at any time. I'll answer. I'm here to help, whatever I can do.
Yeah. And you have great free tools on your website as well. And we'll share that before we get done here.
I do, and I do need to update that. And just summary. Um, just want to encourage you all to use these skills, and I can send this to Mr. Pike as well. You want to say the PowerPoint. Just use everything that was taught today as you're making your financial decisions. I like to think I have a good network. So if there's something out there, you all are interested in, but you don't have that contact, reach out to me. I may know someone that can help you. I'm open to it. I think the best thing is if, reach out and help others. Okay. I've had people help me. I don't mind helping you all. And that's it. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to figure out how to stop the sharing on here.
Oh, me. I think I do this. Stop share.
Oh, there we go. Cool. I do have some questions from the students, but you did mention your network because we have to plug. You're a graduate of Mississippi State University, and they have a very wide network. So anybody interested in going to Mississippi State, I know you're probably the most on fire bulldog I have ever met in my life. So anybody, and actually, I know I have one in here for sure wants to go there here in a couple of years. So I know you are a very big proponent of students deciding to go to Mississippi State.
Oh yeah, awesome. This the 10th grader, the 11th grader.
This is the 11th grader wants to go to Mississippi State.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you my contact information, and yeah, just I definitely can connect it. Yeah, you wanna we love football season. We've been up there almost every weekend now. So, of course, if you need to come to a game to make your final decision, we can arrange that too. So,
Yeah, she'd
yeah.
be a great person to connect with y'all. And this is actually, I'm starting off with her question here. This is Azaya Ray. She's in 11th grade. Wants to go to Mississippi State, member of our band, our student council here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, what strategies would be best for me to build an emergency fund?
So the strategies for building an emergency fund, as we stated earlier, know what you're making, what's coming in. If you do have a job, you get an allowance from your parents, something like that. You need to know what's all coming in. What's your fixed expenses? If you have a recurring expense such as a phone bill or something like that, you want to subtract that from there. And then it lets you know how much money I have left over. But you also know the type of person you are. Are you a brunch person? What things that you just feel like you need to spend on. And as you subtract that, you can see here's how much money I'm able to save on a consistent basis. And this can help you build your emergency fund.
Absolutely. And it is, it's like you mentioned, you can have um the money coming in, but it's when you think you need it's when you don't think you need it is when it comes up. Well, I do have time for one more. This is Ikeria Chambers. She's in 10th grade. And she asked, you talk about saving, but is the 20-30-50 rule uh a good practice to follow?
So yes and no. I would say that's what's being taught. But when you see things such as inflation and what inflation is, things just cost too much and we just don't have the wages to keep up. Okay. So I would say set your own percentages as you're seeing what's coming in for you. That's your 100%. Okay. As you're seeing what you actually have to spend on, that's a percent. And whatever that percent is left over, you can decide from there. So that percent that's left over your 100, if it's 50, I would take at least 10 to 15 and start saving. So I would say set your own percentages because I can't tell you 20, 30, and 50, and Jeff Bezos is doing it. But you're dealing with a lot less money than Jeff Bezos. So you have to set your own percentages by taking a total income, which also is going to be your 100%, and subtract things such as your recurring expenses and what you know you're going to spend on entertainment and all that. And whatever percentage is left over, take by 10 or 15 of that percent at the minimum and start saving it. Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. But a couple things before we go. FinLitLLC.com is your website. You have information about the services you offer, but you have a tab for free tools. You have a budget tracker tool on there, so anybody can use that, students or adults. So, is there anything else on there you wanted to know about? Because Finlit, and I did get it right. Did I
Yeah, you
Finlit
got it right.
LLC?
That's right. That's it. I have been looking at it to add some more things and do some updates. So I will let when it's live. But yeah, right now, go use the free tools. Reach out to me. I'll send Mr. Pike my information.
Now, and the last thing before we go is you mentioned you are from Greenwood, Mississippi, in the Delta. So you grew up as a black woman in Mississippi. We all know about the educational disparity in the Delta that it existed for decades, and there's no way you can argue that because we know it was there. Um, People in the Delta, especially black kids in the Delta, did not have access to this type of information. You did not grow up having all this taught to you. And even though I had great parents and I went to a great school, a lot of this stuff was never taught to me either. So it is important for these kids to understand, look, I'm just 16, 17 years old. This stuff is stupid. It's never going to matter. These small concepts, you don't have to ever be an expert, but just knowing the basics. It is
Mhm.
amazing how much that can help you set yourself apart as you go through life. So why is it so important to at least be familiar with these concepts now in high school?
I agree. Even with the education and everything I got, I was like, this isn't common knowledge for everyone. So what can I do, to put that out there? And that's how I started as a hobby on Facebook. We created like a Facebook group, and people was like, no, you should be getting paid for this. I was like, I'll revisit it later. So it actually took 5 years to get there to say, okay, I'll kind of like get paid for this, see how I can, make this. But Mr. Pike is right. I don't know. it needs legislation needs to be out there for Mississippi where personal finance needs to be a requirement to graduate. Right now we aren't there, but we have been looking into, talking to some senators. I have a cousin by marriage that's a senator in Jackson, for Mississippi. So we've been talking, this needs to hit the floor. So we're trying to get there to equip you all with at least the basics. I know a lot of them don't even know how to write a check, you know, don't even know what income and expenses are. Okay, we don't fault the kids for that, but we're just trying to say what can we do to make sure that they do know this information. So in the background, some of us are working on your behalf. I do appreciate Mr. Pygott for getting this type of info to you all, not just financial literacy, but a lot of things that you don't even know out there, type of jobs, the different people that come and talk to you. So I will say you are very blessed, okay, not to get real religious, but you are very lucky and in a better place, than most students in Mississippi because you have a teacher who cares and trying to get this information forefront for you all. And it's
Well,
been
it's never been about me, so I appreciate that. It's about giving people like yourself the platform and getting these kids the information they need. But we thank you so much for fitting this in your busy schedule. My friend Cynthia Blackmon, all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. We thank you so much for joining us today.
thank you. You all have a great one.
I talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye bye.